At this time, I would like to call to order our Jackson County Commission meeting on behalf of our commissioners, Commissioner Rich, Commissioner Venable, Commissioner McBride on the far end there, and Commissioner Butler here. I'd like to welcome everybody to this meeting. At this time, we'd like Mr. Manning, County Administrator, to please call the roll to establish a quorum.
Yes, sir. Mr. Rich?
Present.
Mr. Venable?
Present.
Mr. Buckner?
Present.
And Mr. McBride?
Present. We do have a quorum. Thanks very much. And if everyone can please stand, I'd like to ask Mr. Porter, our County Attorney, to please offer invocation, and I'll lead our pledge of allegiance.
Lord God, our Father in heaven, we look upon you as the great creator of all things, and we're thankful for these things you have created, especially in this county. We're thankful for the beauty that we have with the people that dedicate their lives to public service. We're thankful for the people of this county. Pray that you watch over us and guide us and keep us safe every day. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In your packets, you have the agenda for today's meeting of July the 25th, 2022. Would like to add to today's agenda a motion to approve the hiring committee's recommendation for 2 vacant HMT1 positions with the Public Works Department. The hiring committee met today, and they have made a recommendation. Those are in the packet. We'll get to them. I propose we add that to item C in our new business item. So can I get a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of new business item C?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with amendment.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. We do have some awards and presentations today, and I sure would like to have all of our commissioners join us down front as we make those presentations. These are for people who have served very diligently our county over many years. 15, 20, and 25-year recipients today. So if we could all please.
Let y'all get by me first. Let y'all get by me.
So, Mr. Holman, is today your birthday?
Yes, sir.
Happy
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tracy. Happy birthday to you.
Well, if you would please join us here. Mr. Tracy Holman is the deputy in the Sheriff's Department. He is a narcotics investigation captain for us. He's had a number of different jobs, and he's been promoted to that job. And today we're recognizing Mr. Holman in appreciation for your 15 years of dedicated service to all the citizens of Jackson County. We just want to say thank you very much for all that you do for us. So, thank you very much. And this is on behalf of all 5 of us standing up. These guys all recognize what you do. Thank you. Do we have any more birthdays today? Uh-oh, I hope not. Next, we have from Public Works, Mr. Kelvin Clark. And Mr. Clark is not here today, but I just want to recognize him because he has served our county for 20 years in that position. And we will certainly get this certificate to him. A tough job, and he has done that and served our county tremendously over those years. So to Mr. Clark, thank you very much. With the Revenue Commission, Ms. Regina Best, would you please come up? And Regina has been with us 20 years.
Wow.
And accounting supervisor in our revenue department in the Revenue Commission. And if you go in there, she's there every day. She is doing that job and doing a great job for us. And again, I'd like to say thank you for all you have done for all our citizens of Jackson County. And so with that, we'd like to present this certificate of recognition to you and appreciation for your 20 years of dedicated service to the citizens of Jackson County. Thank you very much.
Started when you were 2.
Your turn.
Lavonda?
Oh, she did come.
She doesn't want to.
Ravonda, we are recognizing her for 25 years of service to Jackson County. And she has had a lot of jobs, I understand. Clerk. And the note I have is you've done a variety of things in the Sheriff's Department.
And in the jail.
And in the jail. And so with that, we would like to recognize you for the great work that you are doing for all of our citizens of Jackson County. So we would like to present you a certificate of recognition for your 25 years of service.
10 more you retire.
That's right. Dale Ward. Now, Dale is not here today. Dale is a clerk 3. He's financial clerk with Public Works. I see Dale's name come across the screen almost once or twice a week with notices that he's sending out to all the citizens of Jackson County about closures of roads or activities going to happen on the road. And we are recognizing him today for his...
Her. She. It's a she.
She.
She. It's a she.
Please excuse me, Dale. Okay. Please excuse me. So, recognizing her for her 25 years of dedicated service to the citizens of Jackson County. Thank you for all that she does for us.
And if anybody hadn't noticed, when we call the office, I can't tell Sharon or Dale apart. If anybody else having trouble, every time.
I really do.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dad. So is that it?
That is.
Thanks, guys, and thanks to everybody. So with that, at this time, do we have any public comments? So if no public comments, we'll now proceed into the new business portion of our meeting. We have 3 items on the agenda. First, we have in your packet a letter from Jeff Arnold, our Revenue Commission, making a request of approval of the hiring committee's recommendation. So do I get a motion to approve hiring committee's recommendation for the vacant real property appraiser position in the Revenue Commissioner's office?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have in the packet another letter or information regarding resolution to authorize Jackson County to join the state of Alabama as a participant in the current and future opioid settlements and to allow the chairman to sign the agreement. We have dealt with this before in work session and in a new business, and we voted to participate in this activity. Do I have a motion to approve and sign a resolution to authorize Jackson County to join the state of Alabama as participants in current and future opioid settlements and to allow the chairman to sign the agreement?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
We have a second. For discussion, would like to turn it over to County Attorney briefly for the results of this.
Sure. The county voted a number of years ago to join in the statewide opioid litigation against several different manufacturers. We did that, we were part of that class action lawsuit that's been pending since that time. There is a proposed settlement that has been approved by the federal judge to create an overall fund from which funds will be paid to the various governmental entities, counties, cities, and different participants. The exact amount is not yet known because that formula have to fill in the blanks on the formula, but this process will allow the county to receive its share of the funding for opioid and difficulties. It will go to whatever processes the county decides would be best to combat the opioid problem. It may be drug rehabilitation, it may be drug court supporting that, or whatever else the county determines the best way to use these funds once they're received.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next in the packet is two letters from our county engineer regarding the selection of two HMT1s. Do I have a motion to approve the hiring committee's recommendation for the two vacant HMT1 positions with the Public Works Department?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
We have a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. With that, we will proceed to our work session. We have two items on work session agenda today. First is a discussion of Alabama Retirement State Employee Association recommendation regarding estimated cost of a fund, bonuses for Jackson County Commission retirees. With that, let me turn it over to County Administrator. Mr. Bannon.
The letter that you have describes the amount for Jackson County portion. That would be for all the retirees that have worked for the county that are currently retired, and they have a formula that they'll do a certain amount per year of service. And you see in the second paragraph, it tells you how they calculate that. And then the portion for the county would be the amount in the top paragraph, $64,852. And we would have to adopt and submit a resolution for that.
So I believe we would have to adopt this by our last meeting in August, because it must be completed by the end of August, August 31st.
And that would be paid out in the next fiscal year. I think it's sometime after October 1st when they would pay this out. So if the commission does choose to do that, we would budget that amount as an appropriation in our next fiscal year and send that to RSA. And then they distribute it to the retirees.
I would just propose that this is an item to be dealt with in our 2023 budget and further discussion in the budget meetings as we look at our overall budget position and where we are regarding that. So that's just to note how it would be applied and how we would deal with it in consideration for 2023. Any discussion? Any questions?
Just thinking about this is a one-time cost, but it will become an annual cost, or?
No, sir, it's a one-time cost only, and each year or each 2 years, however often they do this, they'll send another letter out for the next time that they do this.
Okay.
So it's not an annual obligation, it's a one-time bonus for this current year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do we see these occasionally come in
We
to
do.
the commission for consideration?
We do.
Okay, any other questions or discussion?
I'm in full support of it. You know, we were able to do some stuff for our employees with some of the COVID relief money we got. We've not been able to do anything for our retirees. And with inflation the last 2 quarters, I mean, this doesn't even touch, you know. Just like to add that.
Okay, so we will put it before the budget discussions that we have and consider it in our 2023 budget. Is everybody okay with that? Okay. With that, next discussion of local roads. You do have a sheet in your packet, a list of local roads for consideration. I have asked the county engineer and Director of Public Works to also give us a brief discussion on where we may head with Rebuild Alabama funds and roads for that. So with that, let me turn it over to our county engineer, Mr. Campbell.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm back for, I guess, some of the same discussion or to answer questions or heading direction we need to. As the Chairman mentioned, Rebuild Alabama, we typically take that up in August, and with that is federal aid exchange funds, so we can kind of take a glimpse at what the funding will be this year at that. And then also I just passed out the same list that you all are probably familiar with on possibilities for local road research and selection, and those came from road surveys that typically happen annually, and they are recommendations. So selections, we prefer be vetted by you all in selection, but that's, as the way we see it, those are all good choices.
Okay, any questions or comment?
Jonathan, on the district form, camera 3, which bridge is that? That's the one right before you go up Putnam. Is that? Yeah, so Lickport Creek is the creek crossing just near the bottom of the mountain. Very small bridge. It's a sizable structure, but it would be south. I guess south of that bridge would be where we're proposing that starting point. Okay. And then it would be the entirety on the mountainside. Oh, okay. All right. There's actually pretty good pavement near the top. That was a different project. And then also 303, that would be the next road to the left that dead ends. Thank you. Yes, sir.
That 91, is that basically what we've done on 491, hit the worst spots, basically?
Yes, sir. It would be a piecemeal project where there's multiple areas resurfaced. There's some sections of 91 that are condition is not near what the other is. So looking at different sections and identifying those, we feel like 3.5 miles applied to that could change things drastically.
Are these put in any order of importance, or random? Or?
We try to do our best in placing kind of worst first, but just let me mention that condition is generally how these are placed in that area. However, if there's a roadway that maybe has less residents or it's short or dead end, it could be in a little worse condition than one near it. So I'll just disclaim that.
Last year, how many miles of chip seal were we able to do this year that we're closing it now?
Current
Yeah,
year. So we are, local road speaking, we are about 15 miles complete now with another 10 on the books, considering the recent additions. So in recent work completion, that brought us to near 11 miles that's all complete now. So we have some that are ready and waiting as far as The road is completely prepped, the aggregate is stockpiled, and we're awaiting the return of contract forces in the coming weeks. There's several miles that are ready, but remaining to be complete is about 10.
Okay. And rebuild this year, approximation of what we've been able to get?
We're near 17 miles on rebuild, but as a reminder, about 6 of that was from last year. So that was projects that were not completed last year that were completed in this year. So considering last year's projects completed with this, we're over 17, but we're around 11 as far as this year's rebuild projects that were selected.
The reason I'm asking the question is if we look at what you were able to do with chip sealed and rebuild in the year, I'm trying to get an idea of what is possible to do in total mileage between rebuild and chip seal in a year. So go ahead, please.
Last year, if I'm not mistaken, we approved, what was it, 22 miles, and then we added the high top portion. Bob, do you remember, I don't remember, was it $460-something thousand that we,
I think it was, we were thinking around 425,000. That was what I was
that
thinking.
we put out of the general fund? So what dollars, what source of revenue was used on the public works side to do the remainder of that?
So that would just be the cash balance from 111. Then that was consistent with about 10 miles of work that we felt like we could, budget and account for.
And our cash balance 111, we're scared to get much into it right now with the slides and
I think the slope failures may be a total different ball of wax on how we want to approach that. When we looked at handling that with the routine budget and even cash balance, it pretty much wrecked our early models on balance. And so, we don't know the extent of the repair, obviously, and the scope of work that's going to be brought to light with our subsurface investigations. But preliminary wise, we were penciling in $3 million, and that's both repairs. That's completely preliminary and guesswork at this stage. 111 on the sheet that just came around, that's the second line item, and that reflects that amount that you just mentioned as far as the 425 that has been transferred in. And if I remember correctly, it was anything in excess of 350 would be supported from the general fund. But Mr. Manning has given us that 425 in there to show that transaction and transfer.
So just so I understand, the cash balance that you have in your public works fund right now is?
Yeah, it's the second line for 111 is the 1.3
Okay.
number.
So I may misadd and everything else, but just, so with rebuild, what you were able to do in a 12-month period, about 17, plus the 11 would give us in the neighborhood of 28 miles for the year. What I'm trying to get to is, what is it possible to do right now with your organization and with the contractor team you have? What do you believe could be done in mileage in a year?
I think we're going to complete these 17 miles of rebuild. And then we may be able to complete all the local roads. I mean, we're going to work to it. 189, with 189 being a late addition, we feel we feel fairly good about High Top Road at this point, so, you know, within a couple of miles of all that I just mentioned, we feel like it's,
So we're
able to
approaching
complete
40 miles?
40 miles total.
40 miles per
Yes, sir.
year.
If we get all this down on paper right now, it'll be over 42.
Okay.
So 40 miles, we feel very good. Now, understand that the local road mileage, we've been at that for well over a year now. So we're going on a year and a half plus.
Okay. I'm just trying to get a 12-month period, so I
Yeah,
know what we think.
15 miles of local road, like we talked about
Okay.
before, we feel is probably max without additional crew forces, you know,
Okay.
preparing those roads.
32, 35.
But if we pick 15 miles from this list, you've got the manpower, but you don't think you have the dollars, the cash dollars to be able to buy the materials and pay the contractors. It would take some additional money from the general fund. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, I think that we're gonna get beyond, it depends on how much reserve we're comfortable with. So, you know, 1 million reserve's kind of been our standard on operational, for, you know, preparation for whatever could happen. So that leaves 300,000 plus, and that's gonna come near the price tag for doing 10 miles with contract forces. And that's buying materials from 100.
Can we use some of the ARPA money for this?
Well, yes, you can use some ARPA money. In the standard allocation that we opted for, roads are one of the things we can do. So we can look at some ARPA money. We can look at the money that he has. I still suggest that we could look at getting an advance on rebuild. What I would suggest is we sit down and as we move through our budget process and look at how many roads do we think we want to get, what we can possibly get with the within a public works organization plus contractors, and look at options for funding those roads that we could get. And I think there are options out there. I would saying that I think we can use, well, I know we can use some ARPA funds, and I think there may be some ARPA funds that we can make available. There are other needs that we have in the county that if we don't use ARPA funds for that, it will fall on the general fund to take care of, and we do not have general fund monies to do that. So we will end up in a having to borrow those funds to do that. And so I think we need to take all those things in balance and look at what we can do. Roads clearly is one of the critical infrastructures we have in this county. And I think working together, we can find a way to get more roads than we have an opportunity to get more roads than we have been getting today. And I know that Public Works has worked very hard to get the roads that they're getting, but that's an issue of funding, and that's an issue of contractor availability and other things. And I think we need to take a look at those items. So just my thoughts.
Out of the 1,100 miles of road, we have about, what, 870 of those miles are chip seal secondary roads. What's the life expectancy for a chip seal road? 12 years, 17 years?
We did 17 and a half, and it really just all depends. It depends on the preparation, the application process, and how good of a job, you know, it is initially, the time of year it's applied. But we applied in the, this may be a good time for this, and I know you all seen this too, but I'll send this around. When we think about it from an asset standpoint, and we look at our hot mix roads in the network, and then we compare that to chip seal roads and local roads, when you look at the breakdown that you just mentioned, when, near 900 miles and then a little over 200 for the other, and we apply a life expectancy of 17 and a half years, and that's for each hot mix or chip seal. In a lot of cases, the chip seal will actually outlast the hot mix. Then you end up with a 13 mile per year goal and a 50 mile per year goal, and that's hot mix versus chip seal respectively. So we're obviously not going to achieve 50 miles per year on local road chip sealing with the resources that we have. But 22, 25 miles like we're doing, that's that. And it wasn't done in a year, but that's making a difference in the local roads. And I would submit to you that the roads on this list, and I feel like we all know this, but I'll just mention it. The condition of these roads are very poor. And I have photos if we need to look further, and it's the same photos you received back when this was originally distributed. But it does console some folks to hear that the road is selected and lets them know that at some point in time it will be fixed. And it is a painful process. It gets a lot worse before it gets better. But once that process takes place and that chip seal pavement is there, especially for what it costs, it's a product that lasts a really long time.
What's the average cost per mile?
As far as the contract part, is about 35. It's swelled a little with an inflationary cost of bituminous products, but complete, we're still less than 65,000 complete. That's our estimates with an increase in liquid asphalt. So that 65,000 per year would reflect labor, equipment, and materials. The numbers you see on this sheet are just the contractor cost. So this is just what we would, be facing out of 111 budget, and those are figured on about 35,000 per year, and that's labor and equipment only.
I first got elected in 2012, our road system was in regression then. We've averaged probably 8 or 10 miles of road a year for those 10 years. But out of the 880 miles, we probably paved 100 of the 880 miles in 10 years' time. So we've got 700 miles of road that hasn't been touched in 10 years with a 17.5-year life expectancy. So in another 6 to 8 years, our road system's gonna fall to pieces. And
Be a lot of dirt roads.
There were actually pictures made in the local papers on years that the public works would achieve 100 miles per year of paving. When I first started, there were still some of the folks that participated in that, and they would happily share the stories with you of achieving that. And it was a major accomplishment. And you can see easily how it would take something of that magnitude to maintain a network.
that's what I was getting at. Maintaining, these numbers are on maintaining a good road system, and we've been in regression for so long that it's gonna take a huge influx of some money to be able to get us back to a point where we're maintaining a good road structure. I mean, right now, we're maintaining a road system that's falling apart.
I noticed over the weekend, riding around, there's several utilities, water lines that's leaking in our road system. It's just making the base failure worse. And I've passed by 2 leaks. I know it's been leaking for 6 months. And I've called them and ain't nothing been done about it. Leaks like that makes a problem on us. It spreads out, it just makes it more harder on us to fix.
Yeah, pass those locations along,
I will.
and we'll see what we can do.
Any more comment? I'm gonna offer that I believe we do need a special work session on roads. It's gonna take a little time to sit down, to look at the resources, the funding, the roads we wanna try and get, where we wanna try and get, the quantity of miles of roads that we wanna do per year. And look at both local road chip seal, local road hot mix, and whether or not there is part of that strategy of how do we preserve roads that if we don't do preservation, that we could end up getting, or if we do preservation, we could get an additional 5, 6, 7 years out of the road. And have the discussion about how we put that together and what we can achieve. It's also, I think, has to consider not just where money comes from and the funding to do that, but how we, where we are in terms of our ability in equipment and people to do that out of public works, and how much work we can get out of our contractor teams each year. If I remember right, those contractor teams are working over a large area of our state, and so they've been pretty good to us, I believe, this year. But we need to consider how much work we can get out of those. So I would propose that we do have a session, that we put all this on the table and have a discussion about that. Just my thought.
How many, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, how many people are we short in the public works right now?
Well, the selections today, that helped, and we appreciate that. We are 2, technically, so interviews are set up for the first week of August, at least tentatively now, for still an HMT2 position, and then depending on that situation.
With our turnover rate that we've got to do something to keep them here. I mean, what's going to happen, what was it, 3 years from now, and that 75 cent goes away? Yeah. I mean, and it starts right across the street over here. We have not had nothing to fill back in from TVA little tax. That's what's hurting, and I cannot get nobody to understand that, but everybody on Facebook says we loaded with money and we got sticking money in our pockets with both hands. And that's not true. They need to come up here, and some of them's gonna get an education in the next 4 years. That's all I'm gonna say.
When we were doing 100 miles of road a year, we were getting over $1 million more per year from TVA in lieu of, and the county's general fund was putting money into public works. And the price of material was considerably less, 15 years ago than it is now.
If you do an analysis of where we were in TVA's payment in lieu of taxes, we have lost 53% of TVA in lieu of taxes revenue, and that's not just our general fund. That affects every municipality and every activity in Jackson County. We were able to make that up to a good extent with our SSUT tax, but basically all that has done is kept general fund flat while inflation has gone up, price of materials has gone up, price of gasoline has gone up.
Labor
And
costs.
so trying to keep pace with those kind of inflationary items, general fund has not done that. So I would agree. That's another discussion, and we need to have that discussion, but I still would propose a special work session on roads. I know everybody is busy with the work that they're doing, but sit down for several hours and have that discussion and look at all the factors involved in a decision.
I'll be fine
Build
doing
a
it
strategy for
Saturday or
roads.
whatever, Saturday morning, somewhere.
I'm fine with that.
So the rate we're going, I mean, we're not, and the rate that the roads last, the amount of time the roads last, we're not paving enough roads that in 4 or 5 years, is all gonna come tumbling down, like Jason said. I mean, we're gonna have more roads that need to be turned to gravel or chert or dirt roads than we have paved. We're gonna have to get busy now, and I think we're gonna have to be more aggressive with our paving project, even if it means more contracting and being creative in how we get our money, but we got to do something different than what we're doing.
At 156, I got called on about 156 over the weekend. I haven't been down there, they say it's pitiful. But some of them we got is gonna be better off if we just plow them up, put it back in gravel. Like 494 or 59 and up there, there's several of them that just, it would be better to just plow them up and put them back to dirt. When you ain't got the money to do what you need to do with, what do you do? I mean, just like people nowadays, gas is more than doubled. People is nipped and tucked and they can't get no more money. I mean, we're in that same situation, been in that situation for 4 years. I mean, and now we haven't borrowed 1 cent of a dollar in the past 4 years that I know of. But the way we're going now, it's going to start nosing down, and then everybody will be on dirt and gravel roads again. Horse and buggy.
Excuse me. I strongly agree that we need to have a meeting on this. And what I would love to see is something that takes into account what Jason's alluding to, that the long-term fix, not just a one-time infusion of cash or hit and miss, just something that's going to be sustainable and manageable with the right amount of personnel, the right amount of equipment, the right amount of support. And that's the only way I think we're ever going to be able to get additional funding sources to accomplish what's going to have to be accomplished here. And same thing can be said for the Sheriff's Department, same thing can be said for any department. I mean, we're going to have to look at the adjusting cost of increased salaries and cost of living and all these things. I mean, especially departments like yourself that's having to be out and about, and fuel costs and those type of things. I don't see that curtailing in the near future. And so I do look forward to having those discussions on some kind of long-term plan where we can know well in advance when roads are coming up. You have a plan as far as how you're going to preserve and which roads you are going to need to be. And so when we field questions, we can refer them to the plan and say, your road is on this schedule. Your road will achieve success then, and we're not just filling the gaps as we're doing now by reacting to phone calls, which it's our job to listen to those calls, but also there needs to be a little more science into it as opposed to just whoever has the time to call in. So thank you for what you've done in compiling this list, and I know you try to be creative, and we just need to have something to present. So thank you for that.
And everybody in Public Works, everybody in the whole county works for the county, has been doing a terrific job. I mean, from employees in the courthouse to administration, I mean, everywhere. But we're doing the best we can do, but we're still losing people, ain't that right? We're still losing.
Yeah, we are.
I mean, yeah.
And that is another very important discussion, how we're going to deal with that. You know, we're going to have to. We have folks that are leaving because they can go get $20 somewhere, even though they don't have the benefits that this county has, but they need paycheck right now to take care of their families, and that's what is critically important for them right now. And we got a ways to go to solve those issues. So yeah, we have several issues in the county that we need to look at, and that we need to, as we get through this budget, we need to take a hard look at those. So we'll schedule a work session. If you guys wouldn't mind, let me know. I think we need to do it within about a week, no later than 2 weeks. I have that discussion and spend however long we need to. But I would ask that we look at every aspect of the road here in the county, not just local chip seal roads, but let's put together the plan to see what we can do with each of our road activities that we have.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Good discussion. Thank you. With that, that's the last item in our work session for today. Important discussion. At this time, we'll move to reports from the staff. First of all, County Administrator.
Just want to say thanks to all the department heads, everybody's working on the budgets, and we'll have more meetings next week. And
a lot of hard work, but it's got to be done, and we appreciate everybody, every department, pulling together, putting all the numbers together. So,
Okay,
thanks for all that.
all right, thank you. Next, county engineer, anything else?
Nothing, sir, thank you.
All right, thank you. County attorney.
Mr. Chairman, I do have one thing. I apologize for not getting this on the agenda, but it's kind of an evolving situation with Scottsboro Solid Waste. The Scottsboro Solid Waste is in Jackson County. The dump is in Jackson County, which means that the county has some control and authority over the site. They have requested, or they're in the process of requesting from the Alabama Department of Environmental Management a modification of the current permit to include some additional material for the daily cover. They're required on a daily basis to cover the landfill. And right now they're using earth and some other approved material, and they want to modify that to include wood chips and tarps. So they have to have a modification of the permit, which requires consent of the county to do that. And to get that approval, the county is required to hold a public hearing on that topic. So I would request that the county put on the agenda for the next meeting an item to set a public hearing, not to have a public hearing next meeting, but to consider setting the public hearing next meeting so we can get that process moving forward at their request. So,
Would that meeting include experts from the sanitation department as far as what impact that would have and
yes.
what? Okay.
We do have, and I'll be glad to share with you, I have the draft of the application that I can share with you so you can read beforehand. But the rules of ADM require that 2 personnel from Scottsboro Solid Waste attend that meeting to answer any questions that you may have or the public may have.
How urgent is this meeting that we need to have? Is it something time sensitive right now?
It is not entirely time sensitive, but they would like to get it done as soon as they can, simply because, so they can start using the alternative material if it is approved. So it doesn't have to happen this week, but basically as soon as we can get to it, it's not an emergency.
Okay, do we need to put that on new business next week, or next meeting?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Based on my last trip in the river, maybe eelgrass can be put on top of that pile.
You can do that.
A win-win on that.
Okay, do we have any other comments from any of our other departments? So Stephen, I'm going to ask you just if you would stand up and introduce yourself as the new Director of Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, I think I've met pretty much everyone, but Stephen Murray just took over for Parks and Rec. Pretty excited to be on the team and look forward to working with the commissioners and the public. Move the park forward.
Yeah, when he came in his first day, sat down, he said he had looked at the last year and a half's worth of commission meetings. Okay, that was pretty good. So thank you very much and glad to have you aboard. With that, let's go to comments from commissioners. District 4, Commissioner McBride.
Nothing to add, thank you.
District 3, Commissioner Buck.
I hate to do this, but I just need to ask a couple questions. Jonathan, do you expect the paving crew to be back this fall and to get finished with what y'all have prepared?
The information that we received, we do expect the contractor in the coming weeks. His schedule literally changes daily, as I understand it. So if there's a rainfall event, wherever there's planned work, it changes everything. So the last time he said that, he was spot on. He showed up. So the next projects that you could anticipate would be County Road 530, County Road 500, County Road 510. And they are working hard to have County Road 56 prepared and ready.
Okay, very good. All right, and same thing in that same area. I had you look at the bridges on 119. Were y'all able to add some signs to that area?
So the shoulder drop off, which as I understood it was the main concern, the crews added material to bring that back up.
Okay.
And then the other issue, there is scour at 119 Bridge where the roadway is actually
different.
sinking. That's gonna require more extensive repair. So
I just knew that third bridge on 119, I thought, man, anybody just slightly gets off the path there, and that's gonna be something you guys are gonna be dealing with. So
as
thank
far
you.
as the other hazard, there are signs up warning of the bump.
Okay, all right. And so, to comments, I had the fortune of representing the commission this last Friday with the Alabama National Guard training site at Fort McClellan. What an outstanding opportunity that is. I know we've got some folks with connection to the Guard and Reserve. And the reason they were there was they were encouraging employers to hire and work with reservists and National Guard. And so for the employers out there, please consider being flexible with these folks, because they're doing their best to serve the country and maintain a living. And so I thought it was a wonderful learning opportunity for myself. And so I strongly encourage anybody to look into that as a career and supplement to what you do. But thank you.
Okay, District 2, Commissioner Venable.
I don't have anything to add, Mr. Chairman.
District 1, Commissioner Rich.
I've got 492, and one that's gonna take us a little bit of time to ask. We've got 492 questions. One of them is 93 and 38. I get the questions right all the time. What's gonna happen on 93? You know, we need to discuss that. Have they done ground testing or engineering or anything?
Yes, the geophysics are complete, the borings, however, are not. So everything is done as far as on-site work on 38 and 93 with the exception to the boring. So that work is ongoing.
And also another come to my attention last week is some fire hydrants that are bagged up across the county. How can we go and find out how many actually are non-working in the county? Because that affects people's fire rating, their insurance. You know, whenever they go out there and there's a fire hydrant right beside my house and it's got a plastic bag over it, it's inoperable. You know, we need to work on that also.
I would agree. You're right. In my neighborhood, you see bags over fire hydrants, and I know, well, I called Jackson County Water Authority at your request this past Friday. And so I think there's an opportunity for us to go sit down with water authorities and see what the status of our hydrants is.
It's even, I mean, I'm sure it's the city utilities, Stevenson, I know there's fire hydrants everywhere over the whole county. And that needs, and the customer are paying a fee for fire hydrant maintenance. And so if they're not gonna get maintained, they ought to get their money back, in my opinion. Something's gonna be checked out about that.
Okay.
We can get some kind of a number of how many is operable and inoperable. I don't know how we go about doing that.
Okay. Well, certainly with Jackson County Water Authority, I think we can call and check and see what the status of fire hydrants is in their area, and we can call the others as well. My comment would be, I want to go back and say thanks to the folks who are serving this county every day. They come to work every day. They're here in this courthouse and in our other departments every day, every morning to be ready to serve the citizens of the county. And so I say thank you for everything that you're doing. You know, we do have some issues we need to work. We as a group realize that we need to try and work these as we head into 2023, and we will work together to get that done. And with that, my other is our next budget session will be on the 1st and 2nd of August. Be our work session our budget session number 2. And we'll have to take some of these issues up in that work session. So with that, our next meeting date is August the 8th, 2022. And so at this time, if I can get a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Okay, we do have a second. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.